Genius is a flower of great rarity that grows in the most unlikely places. Recognition of genius is an accolade that usually becomes a posthumous award. Certainly, this is true of the man called simply O.Henry, master of the tale with a twist, and one of the greatest storytellers of all time. The O.Henry Playhouse, dramatizing some of the most diverting stories ever told. O.Henry's countless stories are connotations of love in all forms, his love of us and our love of others. And when one loves art, no service seems too hard. That is O.Henry's premise. This story will draw a conclusion from it and show at the same time that the premise is incorrect. The story is called The Service of Love. Destiny, it seemed, intended Joe Larrabee and Delia Carruthers to meet. The two young people were born far, far away from each other, but at an early age began to show talents which later became their art. And at 21 respectively, Joe and Delia departed for the city. And destiny decreed that within an hour of stepping off a city bus, they met in a small restaurant where painters, musicians, writers, and others also met.
Hello, there's a new face coming in, I think. Well, have you seen him before? No, Bill, I can't say I have. Looks a bit like the country cousin type, doesn't it? Yes, George, yes. Very much the part. And lonely, too. Lost. Well, let's call him over. Do a little service to humanity. Hi there. Yes, you with the suitcase.
Oh, hello.
Hello. You new around here?
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, I've just got off the bus. This is my first day... my first hour in the city.
Oh, your first hour. Well, George, how about that? Country lad, eh?
Yes, I'm a painter.
Well, so am I.
After a fashion.
I'm Bill Meager. This is my friend George Swift.
How do you do?
George has a famous name, but that's all. George tries to write.
I always try to eat regularly. I'm not dedicated to art. Well, sit down. Have some coffee.
Oh, thanks, that's nice of you. Perhaps I'd better buy some more. The pot's pretty empty.
Ah, you put your money away.
Are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure. It's on me while it lasts. And when it's gone, who knows?
I do. I pay. Or Joe pays.
Well, I have a few pounds.
Oh, come on. Who's asking you? And besides, you'll need it. Unless you have a doting relative in town who believes in you as a genius.
No, I'm alone.
Aren't we all?
As a matter of fact, I'll have to get busy and find a room. Nothing expensive, of course.
Of course.
Well, Bill rooms with me and I pay the rent. I manage a few jobs. Car cleaning, garage work, that sort of thing. I meet a lot of types, gain a lot of experience. You can't write unless you mingle with the people.
What are you talking about? You've been mingling with them all your life. And frankly, earning my living at anything but painting would be a slow and painful death for me.
You hypocrite.
When one loves art, no service seems too hard.
Yes, I believe that.
Do you, Joe? Honestly?
Yes, honestly.
But when you find, like old Mother Hubbard, that the larder's bare, what then?
Oh, something always turns up. You know that, George.
Yes, like, for instance, yours truly, with a pay packet every week. Now, you're a phony, Bill. Lazy. Bone lazy. But Joe here, yes, I believe his art's everything in the world to him. He'll stick with it, and starve with it. No service too hard, as you said.
Oh, dear, how clumsy of me. Oh, I've spilled your coffee. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's quite all right.
Oh, no, it isn't. I shouldn't have tried to force my way to the counter with this suitcase in my hand. It's far too big.
It's too big for you to carry.
Oh, no. I managed nicely all the way from the bus.
The bus? You've just arrived in the city?
Yes, I have.
Ah, from the country.
Well, yes. How did you know?
Why, the fresh bloom on your cheeks, the dazzling light of excitement in your eyes. That look that you once have, like a soldier coming to do battle with the jungle and the city.
Oh, look, take no notice of him, Miss
Delia Carruthers.
Delia. If you've dropped in for coffee, there's a cup left in the pot.
Oh, that's very nice of you, but I couldn't think of depriving you.
Please, Delia, won't you sit down? I've just arrived myself. George and Bill were kind enough to invite me to join them. In the past few minutes, I feel, well, that things are already happening to me. I've made new friends. Life's already started for me here, you know?
Yes. Well, thank you. I'll have some coffee.
I'm Joe Larrabee. I'm a painter.
I'm a pianist.
Oh, I'm just another painter.
And I'm a garage attendant and a writer sometimes.
Is something wrong?
Oh, no. Everything's perfect now. But, you know, just as I came in here, I felt as though I'd made a mistake leaving home. The city seemed to engulf me. I wanted to run back to the bus and go home.
So did I.
You did?
Yes. But I couldn't. Something wouldn't let me.
I know. I felt like that, too.
Oh? Do you know what it was?
Yes? Yes, I suppose I do. It's the way I can do things with 6 octaves on a piano. How about you?
The way I can do things with a brush and some paint.
How wonderful. How strange.
Strange?
Yes, that we should both get off a bus in the same city, about the same hour, I suppose, each feeling the same way, and then we meet like this.
Yes. Yes, it is wonderful and strange.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, Bill.
Your coffee's getting cold.
Oh,
And now it's my turn. Would you like Bill and me to move to another table?
oh no. Where are you staying, Joe?
I haven't anywhere so far. I was just saying I have to find a room.
So have I. Of course, it can't be expensive or fancy.
Exactly.
Well, Uncle Bill can solve the problem, and I think to your mutual satisfaction.
Mutual satisfaction? What do you mean?
Well, I mean that Mrs. Garrett has some nice, clean, cheap rooms at number 14, just down the street. George and I live next door. Just tell Mrs. Garrett that Bill Meager sent you.
Oh, that is nice of you, Bill.
Oh, no, it isn't. The more friends I have, the more days in the week I can eat. Just turn left as you go out the door for Mrs. Garrett's.
Thanks. I'd better be going.
Oh, so soon?
Yes, I'd like to get settled.
So would I.
Oh, well, all right, you two. Go ahead. We'll see you later. If not at Mrs. Garrett's, then here. It's a second home, this place.
There's always credit, up to a point.
Well, I can't tell you how grateful I am for your help. Are you ready, Delia?
Oh, of course, Joe. Bye, Bill. George.
Bye.
Goodbye.
You know, George, there go 2 people who love art.
Yes. And 2 people who must eat.
They'll live on love.
Don't be silly, they've just met.
Well, if it isn't circumstance that draws them together, then it's art. But give them a few weeks, and their appetites for it will weaken in their longing for a nice, thick, rare steak.
Are you there, Miss Carruthers?
Yes, Mrs. Garrett.
Can I come in?
Yes, of course.
I brought you a receipt for the week's rent.
Oh, thanks. But you needn't have bothered.
Business is business. Besides, I like to keep things straight, you know what I mean.
Well, don't you find everything satisfactory?
Oh, yes, dear, I do. You're a good tenant. But you never know. I mean, so many artists and writers and musicians come here from time to time. They pay a week's rent and owe a month's.
Mrs. Garrett, I've been here a month and I pay regularly. Besides, I expect to take a few pupils soon.
Pupils? But I thought you were studying piano off one of those long-haired celebrities.
Well, yes, I am. The famous Mr. Rosenstock is my teacher. He's one of the best in the world.
That's right, Mrs. Garrett. He is.
Ah, hello, Mr. Larrabee.
Here's your rent.
Thanks. I'll get you a receipt.
Later will do.
Ah, yes. I suppose you two want to be alone.
Well, what did she mean by that?
I suppose exactly what she said.
Well, there seemed to be an oblique meaning.
Oh, don't be silly. She's not oblique about anything. How's Rosenstock?
Oh, wonderful. How's Magister?
He's a master. I still get awed every day when I go to his studio. Mind you, he's a tough teacher. Never lets me get away with a thing. Oh, sometimes I just can't take his discipline anymore. But I go on and I find I'm improving. I'm really improving.
I know you are, Joe. You'll be a great painter someday.
And you'll be a great pianist someday.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure of your future, but not of my own, and I want success so badly.
So do I. Well, we shall both have it. Why, we've done everything together since we've arrived in the city. We're bound to succeed together.
Oh, the way you say it makes me believe... Oh, Joe, there's nothing I wouldn't do to succeed.
Me too. Delia,
Yes, Joe?
we've been living next door to each other for a month. But I'm in here more often than I'm in my own room, and... Well, I can't keep away.
Well, I wouldn't want you to. I miss you if you're away even for an hour.
I feel that way about you, too.
Do you, Joe?
Yes. It's a feeling just as strong as my painting. I want you just as much as I want success.
Oh, Joe.
Do you feel that way, too?
Oh, yes, Joe, yes.
Darling, let's get married.
Yes, please.
Right away?
Sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, which room should we convert into a double? Yours or mine?
Oh, it doesn't matter much. I don't care just so long as we're together.
Perhaps I care about one thing.
What's that?
Joe, marriage won't change us, will it?
Why, Delia, it'll make us. Improve what we are, what we feel for each other and our art.
But responsibility won't change us, though, will it? I mean, we'll really stick to what we're doing and succeed, won't we?
Of course, catch me being like George and working at a job during the day. No thanks. I'll sell my paintings, you'll see.
And I'll have a whole string of pupils for piano lessons, you'll see. Nothing must interfere with our art.
No. Nothing.
We cannot say that as Delia and Joe swore their love for each other and for their art, they were not sincere, unswerving in their convictions. If there was any doubt, then Delia doubted only herself and her ability to reach the scale of perfection demanded of her by her great teacher, Rosenstock. And as for Joe, well, his teacher, the great Magister, taught only potential genius, and Joe's genius would bloom soon. Soon. Soon enough to pay the rent and buy the groceries and keep their love and their art living comfortably under one roof.
Mrs. Garrett? Mrs. Garrett, are you there?
She's just coming upstairs, Delia.
Oh, hello, Bill. Oh, it's nice to see you again. How are you?
Broke.
Oh.
How's the honeymoon couple?
Oh, fine, thanks.
Oh, financial?
Well...
George doesn't get paid till tomorrow. Are there a few shillings in the house?
Well, I'd have to see Joe.
Oh, never mind. I should have known better.
Well, I don't mind your asking, Bill. Really, I don't, but...
But the struggle for success, Rosenstock and Magister, goes on unswervingly. Art is the master, the keeper of the larder and the purse. Oh, well, I'll try somewhere else. Give my regards to Joe.
Yes, I will.
Good morning, Mrs. Garrett.
Is it now?
Oh, hello, Mrs. Garrett.
I hope you're going to pay the rent, Mrs. Larrabee.
Oh, yes, of course.
Good. I'll get you a receipt.
Oh, well, I haven't brought it with me. I'll have to ask Joe.
It was due yesterday.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sure Joe's overlooked it.
I hope so. If it isn't the rent you want to pay, what is it?
Well, it doesn't matter now.
Some coffee? Some butter?
Well, I do seem to have run out of coffee.
So have I.
Oh.
And you borrowed butter yesterday.
I know. I'll replace it as soon as I go to the shops.
Look, dear, you and your husband are just starting out in life. I like you. You're nice young people. But all this arty, crafty...
Oh, Mrs. Garrett!
Now, don't start taking offence. I'm trying to be helpful. I've seen a lot like you. Young couples, painters, writers and the like. They sink into a rut after a while. They don't try anymore. Honest, hard work is the last thing they want.
Mrs. Garrett, I don't like what you're saying.
As I said, I'm trying to be helpful. Like most your age, you won't listen, will you? Well, put up with the consequences. Music and painting won't feed you.
I intend to take some pupils.
You've been saying that for weeks.
Well, Joe's going to sell his paintings.
I've heard that too.
Well, it really isn't your business, Mrs. Garrett.
When somebody owes me money, it's my business. And if it comes to that... Look, why don't you be sensible? Take a job.
I'm a pianist, Mrs. Garrett.
Yes, you can use your hands. There's not much difference using a steam iron to thumping a piano.
Of all the things to say, a steam iron.
Yes, the laundry on the corner wants someone to finish up the collars and cuffs for 'em. It pays fairly well. And I know Mrs. Sweeney, who runs the place. I could put in a word for you.
Oh!
All right, I can't do more, can I?
Oh, that beastly woman.
Oh, darling, what is it? What's happened?
It's Mrs. Garrett.
She asked about the rent, I suppose.
Oh, yes, she did. Of course, I told her I expect some pupils. Mr. Rosenstock has promised he'll have at least 5 or 6 for me at the studio within a few days, but Mrs. Garrett wants me to change all that for a steam iron.
A what?
A steam iron? Oh, she thinks I'd make a very good laundress.
Oh, she doesn't understand. Besides, you mustn't feel like this. It's all part of the struggle.
Oh, yes, I suppose it is.
I keep remembering what Bill said that first day I arrived in the city. When one loves art...
No service seems too hard.
Yes, do you remember it too?
Yes, I do. But it's so difficult to appreciate its full meaning. I mean...
I know what you mean, Delia. We are short of money. But if we truly believe in what we're doing, no one like Mrs. Garrett or George can hurt us with what they say.
George? Well, what has he been saying?
Well, I saw him this morning. We talked for a while, and he asked how things were with us. I said we're having a struggle, and he reacted much the same way as Mrs. Garrett.
You mean he told you about a job somewhere?
Yes, he did.
Oh, the cheek, the insulting... What kind of job?
Firing an oil furnace down at the garage.
An oil furnace? Well, what did you say?
Oh, I just thanked him and let it go at that.
Oh, Joe. Joe, you shouldn't have been so considerate and nice about it. An oil furnace, indeed. He knows you're Magister's best pupil. He's aware of your talent.
Of course he is. Now let's forget it. What's for lunch?
Oh, there's no coffee.
Oh, I'll go down and get some.
You can't. There's no money.
Oh,
And the rent's due.
I know.
And I owe Mrs. Garrett for half a pound of butter.
Delia, stop it.
We've got to eat, darling.
Yes, of course. Look, Magister says he'll introduce me to an art dealer, some fellow named Bleecker. I'm to take some of my paintings there first thing tomorrow morning. He's sure I'll get a commission.
Oh, darling.
Now stop worrying.
Oh, how wonderful. And with my pupils besides, we'll manage quite nicely.
Yes, I hope so. Mrs. Larrabee!
Yes, Mr. Larrabee.
Why, Delia. The table. Wine, roast veal. A banquet.
Just a sample of what we might expect in the future, darling. I've earned £8 this week.
No.
Yes. Lots of times I wanted to blurt out the fact that Rosenstock had found me 8 lovely paying pupils, but I thought, no. I'll wait until the end of the week when I'm paid. And now I'm paid and we can eat.
Delia, you're a success.
I am, sir. Not only a success, but also someone rather special to Colonel Pinkney.
Colonel Pink, is he young?
No, darling, don't be jealous. He's married too. And he has a very spoiled daughter named Clementina. She's had singing lessons, fencing lessons, and painting lessons, and this week she began piano lessons. And she likes me. She's no talent at all, but she likes me. Most of the time we simply sit and talk. Do you think that's dishonest?
Why, no, it's her father's money, isn't it?
Yes, that's a very good balm for my conscience. Now, please sit down and dine, sir.
Wait, I have something for the table, too. 6, 7, 8, £9.10.
Joe! Joe, you've sold a painting!
No, a sketch. Mr. Bleecker found me a rich tourist who wants every monument and every historic spot in town sketched. I was paid today for my first sketch, and henceforth I shall be paid regularly every week. I asked for a settlement every week, you see, and...
Joe, I'm so proud of you. But you don't seem excited.
Of course I am, but I'm afraid I'll have to be away from home all day, until quite late. These commissions will take me all over town.
Well, that fits in rather well.
How do you mean?
Oh, well, Rosenstock has decided to keep me at the studio all day from 8 until 4. Do you mind?
Of course not, Delia. I'm delighted.
I'm glad, Joe. Isn't it wonderful how things turn out for us? How we always seem to do things together? I mean, the big things in our lives. Arriving from the country on the same day, loving our art so much, and now succeeding at it at the same time. Oh, darling, we're very lucky people.
Delia,
Yes?
You'll still find time for your own lessons with Rosenstock, won't you?
Oh, of course.
Good.
And you'll still find time for your lessons with Magister, won't you?
Of course.
There. You see? Everything's perfect. Just wait till those cynics George and Bill hear about our good luck. Our success.
Here you are, Bill. Have another drink.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Would you like a savoury, Bill?
Don't mind if I do. Well, here's to your continued success. Ah. Oh, how long has prosperity been with you now?
Exactly a month. That's why we're celebrating.
4 full, satisfying weeks. And I've been able to eat fairly regularly, too, thanks to you.
You should find a rich tourist like me, someone who'll buy your sketches.
Yes, well, I won't say you're not a good artist, Joe, but getting all this support and money from one man isn't exactly success, is it?
Oh, Bill, please don't start shaking our lovely sense of security like that.
Well, it isn't, is it? Well, it can't last.
Of course it can.
Joe, what happens when your rich tourist goes home?
Then Joe will sell his work to someone else.
He'll have to, or you won't eat.
Look, Bill, we'll eat.
Yes, of course we will. Besides, I'll still have paying pupils like Clementina Pinckney.
A rich tourist and a spoilt little rich girl, and thereby hangs the security of the prodigies of Rosenstock and Magister, respectively. Oh, no, it won't do. Sooner or later, you'll have to step down and get in the working-class queue like George.
Why mention George now? What's he been saying to you?
Nothing.
But you keep on about the success Delia and I are having. I mean...
It's all right, Joe. He's only teasing you. Don't lose your temper.
No, I'm sorry.
Forget it. Oh, that's George now, I expect.
I'll let him in. Give Bill another drink, darling.
He's had too many already.
Well. Is this the top drawer of Rosenstock and Magister?
Hello, George. Look, before you go in, I'd like a word with you.
Yes, Joe?
I know I can trust you, but when a man's had a few drinks, well... You won't say anything to Delia, will you?
Of course not. But you'll have to tell us sooner or later.
Yes, I know. But I can't think when or how.
It'll come to you. Wait and see. You and Delia haven't got over the honeymoon stage yet, but when you come down to earth...
Hello, George.
Hi, Delia.
I'll take your coat.
Thanks.
There's cold ham, chicken and wine. Go on, Joe. Give him a plate and a glass while I hang up his coat.
Come on, George.
Hi, Bill. You've got a head start, haven't you?
Oh, Delia, will you answer the door?
Yes, darling. Are we expecting anyone else?
I'm not. Are you?
No? Oh, it's you, Mrs. Garrett.
Yes, I heard about the little celebration, and I baked a few cakes.
Oh, thanks. That was very thoughtful of you.
Well, aren't you going to ask me in?
Yes, of course, but
Well, what are we standing here for, dear?
Mrs. Garrett, there's something I must say to you before you come in.
Yes?
You won't breathe a word to Joe, will you?
I told you I wouldn't, but you can't keep it from him forever.
Oh, I know, Mrs. Garrett, but I can't tell him until he's really successful, until he's selling his work everywhere. Can I?
I don't know. Can't you?
Joe!
Delia, why are you home so early?
Well, why are you?
Oh, well, it's nothing really, you see. Delia, your hand. What's happened to your hand?
Oh, I burnt it.
You burnt it? How could you burn it giving piano lessons?
Oh, well, I was making coffee for Clementina Pinckney, and I spilled some boiling water. It's nothing.
Nothing? Why, that spoiled brat. Why can't she make coffee? Isn't it enough that you have to try and teach a piano to... Oh!
Joe, you're limping.
Oh, no, it's nothing, really. It's just a bruise. I dropped... somebody dropped a spanner on my foot.
Well, how could anyone drop a spanner on your foot? Well, I mean to say, when you're sitting somewhere in a quiet corner sketching, well, no one drops a spanner anywhere near you, do they? Well, do they?
No.
Well, how did it happen?
It really was a spanner.
Then where did it happen?
At the garage.
Garage?
Delia, I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you weeks ago. I've been looking after that oil furnace over at the garage where George works. I haven't been selling my sketches at all. There isn't any rich tourist, and the money I bring home is my week's wages. You can't imagine how I feel. Like a two-timer. And after all, Bill said that time about art.
I don't care what Bill said.
You don't?
No. And if you're a two-timer, so am I.
Oh, no, you're not, darling. You couldn't be.
Oh, yes, I am. I am. There's no Colonel Pinkney and no Clementina. I made them up. I haven't had any pupils from Rosenstock at all.
Then how did you hurt your hand?
Well, it's true that I burnt it, but I didn't spill coffee. The stupid, clumsy woman at the laundry, when Mrs. Garrett got me a job, put a steam iron down on it. Oh, Joe. An oil furnace and a steam iron.
Well, My Rich Tourist and your Clementina are both creations of the same art. But you couldn't call it either painting or music. When one loves art, no service seems...
No, Joe. When one loves, no service seems too great.
The world of O.Henry was a fascinating forum in which the poor and the wealthy, the sad and the gay rubbed shoulders in the most diverting fashion. Each had a story to tell. This was one of them, brought to you in the O.Henry Playhouse.